السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله ولي الصالحين، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Brothers and sisters, we are going a little bit earlier live today because we're going to have some guests on at 1. So we're going to be around 1 hour, 2 hours today in this broadcast, inshallah. So we're going to take the first part of the broadcast to answer your questions. As always, this is a live Q&A, inshallah, and we'll get right into it. I will take some of the questions from the anonymous Instagram that's been posted, and also your questions. Please do share and like, and don't forget to support us with the super chat. Hope that the audio is good, inshallah. Okay. Walaikum salam wa rahmatullah. All right. Why do we need to do a video call, especially for women? Who did a video call, especially for women? I did a course for women that was geared at them to understand male psychology. It was for women only. Okay, what is in the mind of a man? It's not it. That's a class. طيب. The first question that comes in on the anonymous Instagram is, Muslims say we were put on this earth to be tested, but we already know there will be people in hell, as Allah already mentioned in the Quran, that there'll definitely be people in hell. Not every single person is going to go to Jannah. Exactly. But you don't know who's going to go to hell. And you don't know what the test is. Allah tells us things will happen, but you don't know what it is. A lot of people get caught up in this existential question, this philosophical question that usually atheists will ask. Actually, if you think about it, the question makes no sense. Oh, why is there, if there's hell and heaven and people are going to go to hell, and why were God put us on this earth to be tested? Because that's what he wanted. He said he was going to do that. He did that. And this is his will as to what he chooses. You don't know who's going to hell, who's going to heaven, what tests you have, who is being tested, and so on. That's not something, it's in the unseen. It's in the background. You just have to do your best in this life, right? Because you can't be like, yeah, but I'm going to either hell or heaven. Yeah, but you don't know where you're going. You just have to work and do your thing. Now, all right. The anonymous link, guys, it's usually posted on Instagram every few days. I allow people to ask anonymous messages. Yeah, I don't just encourage to turn their videos, but I don't allow women to have their videos on usually in the podcast. Jazakallah khair, sister. Okay, so that's the first question. Second question, how should a teenager pursue marriage? Guidelines will be much appreciated. Thank you. First and foremost, problem is with teenagers that they are not established in terms of their authority in the family. So let's say someone's 17, 18, even 19, and they want to get married. Most likely their family is going to laugh at them. Okay? Their family is going to laugh at them. Why? Because they haven't done things. Like, a lot of the kids don't even take trash out. They don't do their beds. They don't do anything. They're mama's boy. Then finally, they get all excited. They find someone to get married. They go to their families after 18 years of no work, no chores, no nothing. They say, Mom, Dad, I want to get married. Obviously, your parents are going to laugh at you. So the first thing I say, if you're 15, 16, 17, you're planning to get married in the next few years, start establishing yourself in the family. Start showing that you can do stuff that men do. Start gaining their respect and confidence by doing things. If you have a part-time job, you can buy some groceries, you can do your bed, you can clean up, throw the trash out, do things that they don't even ask you to do. Establish yourself. Then you can slowly move on towards looking for a wife and doing the vetting and so on and so forth. Now, why women do so bad at holding themselves and other women accountable? Very good question. It's a very good question, actually. They are not good at accountability. I'm not saying let's say they're not good, because they're not meant to be responsible as in basically in leadership. So accountability comes with leadership, and men are in charge of leadership. Women have certain accountabilities, no doubt, in family, children, and so on. But because the world has fooled women to believe that they're like men, or they should be like men, they basically got involved in a manosphere. When they came on our turf, construction work, firefighting, military, police, all these things, right? Jobs, right? CEO, these are always for thousands of years, be it, those or related to those, you know what I mean? It was always male. Men were created. They do good at these things. So when women were pushed by society to do these things, but they're never been created to have the perfect fit to excel at these things. So if you have the authority and your ability to have this leadership is not in your DNA, you can still maybe do it to an extent, but you won't do good. Then yes, accountability is not going to come, right? So accountability follows authority and leadership. And because women have not been given that authority and leadership from God himself, you understand, they're not the Qawwam, they're not the Khalifa, they're not the judges, they're not the leaders. They're always been support. And it's not to take away from who they are. They are beautiful creatures that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed to have their purpose. And their purpose is amazing. Any leader, any Khalifa, any governor, anyone's been born from a woman. Everyone, right? So their job is amazing. They produce these people. But sadly, they've been fooled to believe that they should be that. So they're not good at accountability, actually, very bad at accountability when it comes to, this brother's not talking about he's talking about in what's happening in the world today. In general, a woman is going to, the way her psychology is not going to be able to admit certain things. Okay, she's going to try to evade certain things when push comes to shove. You understand? Her accountability that would fit her better is when she is the nurturer, she takes care of souls, she takes care of the household. Those are things where her accountability will fit better. Actually, women hold themselves accountable very strongly when it comes to raising the children. Like you find a mother, she's so passionate, she's willing to sacrifice her life, to give up her life for her children. Allah, you see it in every creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When it comes to the female side, the mother side, they're willing to sacrifice anything for their children. Anything. So yes, they do have huge accountability on that level. But when it comes to other things, they don't, right? So we have to keep that in mind. No. But it's a very good question. They have a hard time to hold themselves accountable, especially when it comes to issues of behavior, haya, their behavior outside, relationships sometimes, blame, things don't work out, work even. They have a hard time holding themselves accountable and other women accountable. They'll usually blame men for pretty much anything. Men are blamed for everything. I'm not saying men don't have blame. They do. But you'll find that emotional, basically, responses will always go. It's men's fault for almost anything. Almost anything. Yeah. Okay. Okay, as a sister, how can you tell your parents you want to get married? SubhanAllah, there's such a big difference between men and women, right? So yeah, for the brothers, the mother or father, they'll laugh at them if they're told that, hey, I want to get married. When it comes to the woman, like SubhanAllah, it's like almost like they will feel embarrassed. If a woman says, I want to get married, they're going to start thinking bad about her, which is kind of weird, isn't it? But it's because of the way women have always been perceived and, their values and their haya. So men are the ones who are usually supposed to approach the family and to court. Can it happen that a woman does it? Yeah, it's possible. The Prophet ﷺ was proposed to by Khadija radiallahu anha through someone. So it's not like it's haram. But in general, it's been like that. In the terms of the roles, it's the man who courts, it's the man who proposes. So it does feel weird that women are a bit different when they start thinking about, okay, I want to get married. People will start, come on, let's be honest, right? It's that women have also desire. Not only desire for intimacy and sex and whatnot, but for emotions and being with someone. But the way the world looks at women is different than the way the world looks at men. When men would be laughed at maybe if they're not ready for marriage, but women would be looked at like, whoa, why are you asking about marriage, right? And I must say I kind of agree to an extent. So it's not haram, but in general, that's how the fitra is. Women and men are different, and it's never going to change. And people trying to change that actually are causing huge problems and destroying the flow, the natural flow of society and gender roles that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created. Women should be more contained, more shy, more haya, and men are a bit more outgoing. They're the ones who are moving forward, proposing. They're on the offensive. Women are more on the acceptance, defensive level. It's always been like that. It will always be like that. Now, Jazakallah khair for the super chat. Please do support the dawah, guys, with the super chat. I will see your question faster as a lot of the questions are coming through. Assalamu alaikum akhi. I'm speaking to a potential wife and she ticks the important boxes, deen and purity wise, but she struggles with her weight and I fear that it might be an issue in the future. Please advise. Okay, I'll tell you one thing. It's easier for a woman to lose weight than to change her deen and her purity. If she has no purity and no deen, getting that back, losing weight, ya akhi, is not that big of a deal, honestly. And inshallah khair, she'll do it. It's easy, inshallah. She'll do it. But man, I would take a heavier woman who's got deen and purity over a beautiful skinny girl who's got no deen and no purity, honestly. Definitely, I'll go for a woman who's heavier as long as she has deen and purity. And a lot of the, some of the heavier girls, they're pretty. It's just that they just need to lose some weight and she can do it. It's not a problem, man. That can be done. A little bit of encouragement, some discipline. You can even help her. Bismillah. But trust me, because that's, part of your physique. You can get it, done. But the deen and the purity is part of your soul and your heart, which is difficult to. You can shed pounds, but you can never shed those things that are in your heart. It's very difficult. So I would go ahead. I would take her if she's good like that and has deen and purity. She can lose the weight, no problem. No. All right. Bismillah. Let's move on to one from the anonymous messages. I haven't spoken to my mother for over a decade. She has disowned me for many reasons. I don't have any intention of ever talking to her again for my own sanity. Quran mentions severing kinship. Does mean I'm destined to hell? Okay, so it's hard to tell from this question only because you should not sever ties of kinship unless really, it's a big problem, like where your life is in danger or something like that. You can have a managed distance sometimes if people are very toxic to you, but in the end, that's why the punishment is so big for severing ties of kinship, silatul rahm, and that's why the reward is so big also for keeping them, because the It's difficult. The people that you love the most and who are closest to you are the ones that hurt you the most sometimes. So I would say, do not severitize kinship, because as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Hadith Qudsi that He says that the womb, whoever cuts it or severes it, Allah will cut them. And whoever connects it, Allah will connect them. So don't have that attitude. Fix things. Try it. Even if you don't become like perfect again, at least, check on her, call her, once in a while talk to her. These things you have to work. I'm not saying I would be like going to go to hell, because no one, knows who's going to hell and heaven. Only Allah is the one who judges that. But it's a big sin to just severe. I'm sure there's many reasons you said. I know. I'm just giving you based on what I see in this question. Maybe you can book an appointment with me and we can discuss this more in depth. Now, Jazakallah khair. Let's continue. We are meant to be live at 1 in about 40 minutes, but I started earlier so I can take questions. And we'll have a broadcast. Some brothers are going to be on. There are going to be some questions, inshallah. Now, if a man has multiple wives, 2 to 3, and gets a job abroad, how do you advise he approaches this if he can only move with one wife? Well, he has to maybe move with one, depending on the situation, the papers, and so on. If it's tough to say, because it depends on each situation. You cannot just favor one over the other or whatnot. You should try to move all 3 of them or none of them. Okay? But it depends. Okay, it depends. And he can move in between the different places. He works there, comes back and visits, and so on, to do his best. Then he can do, inshallah, his best in terms of dealing with them. But the best thing would be to move all of them. If he cannot, then he has to be very open about it. So, for example, one might have a passport that she can travel, and the other ones don't have the passport, right? So then it makes no sense for him to be alone and to be in fitna. He'll take the one that has the passport, and it's easier for her to travel. Doesn't mean he's going to now not visit the other 2. He will. It depends on what he does, the work, and so on. It's not so black and white. People need to understand. Sometimes people think when it comes to polygyny, it's just like, okay, this. It's not so simple. And we see this in the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ. What if you're 24 and still you can't be authority because the decision is a cultural practice are taken by the father, financial? Yeah, cultural, that can be an issue. But again, as a man, culture will be put on the side when you have high value. If you've been in line with the culture and been a boy, then yes, obviously you're going to have to follow culture. But if you've been a man for, let's say, since 16 or 15, and you've been doing things, in the end, even culture will be pushed on the side by reality. All right, next question. Let's see. Again, guys, please like and share and hit that super chat to ask a question. And now, Sister Shaista says, women focus on being supportive and kind, don't like to be critical and get into uncomfortable conversation. That's true. That is true. Women have more empathy. That's how Allah built them. They have more empathy, more kindness. They're not as aggressive and as, uncensored as men. It's in their fitrah. It's only now that they've become like that. Their fitrah has been corrupted. But in general, women are more kind and more sensitive by fitrah. Today's women, the 21st century, have lost that. By losing their hayat, they're losing that. So they're losing their empathy. Actually, there's studies that have shown that women prefer, even in the manosphere, the world, prefer to have male bosses over female bosses, because female bosses are just very hard to deal with. Very, very difficult to deal with, subhanAllah. Now, Azim says, where is the line between letting a woman win an argument, if you're right because it's not worth going over and maybe she'll realize later, versus not compromising and giving into something? It's tough to say, because if you give up arguments just like that, sometimes it's okay. Even the Prophet ﷺ said it's okay to give up an argument, even if you're right. Allah promised you house in Jannah. But we have to understand the context. With women, once they feel like they're wrong and they know they're wrong, and then you just giving up, they're going to push for another one and another one. Not all women, of course, but you can give up sometimes because you feel like, okay, there's no point, so I'm just going to let it. But when it becomes a pattern and they feel like, okay, I can just keep doing it, you have to draw a line. Okay, you can't just always, once in a while, it's just something petty, just leave it. It's not worth it. It's just not going to get anywhere. But when it becomes something serious and it compromises things, you need to put your foot down and tell her that, hey, I've been kind of letting you off here and there, no problem. But hey, this one, no way, man. No way. Be careful. I warn you. And then she realized that, okay, he's got a limit. So make those limits clear. Like I always say, when it comes to like disrespect, it's horrible. That's a red line. Do not allow a woman to disrespect you. Do not allow a woman to swear at you. Women swear at their husbands, calling them F this and F that and this and that and P and this and horrible things. Don't allow your woman to call you like that. Sorry. She's going to cry. She's going to raise her voice sometimes. She's going to sad. She's going to scream. Yeah, come on. It's normal. It's going to happen. But to allow her to insult you and to call you names? No way, bro. It's a red flag. Big red flag. No. What about being taken advantage of a scary woman, putting their friend up because they don't want to be hurt? Look, yes, that's how kind of goes into. Like men will start doing things and women start putting their guard up, then they hurt men, the men are going to put their guard up, then they hurt women. Like, it's going to keep going on. Like someone just has to kind of let it be. Right? In the end, this world is led and was supposed to be led by men. Women have to understand that. The more they fight that, the more there's going to be problems. Now, I'm not saying that there's not going to be bad men who are going to take advantage of their position. They do. But that's where the system should come and protect women. And that's why we need to educate men on this system. We need to educate the walis, the fathers, the brothers, the future husbands. As a community, it has to be, as an ummah, understood. The only time men can abuse women is when they operate individually and there's no accountability on a community level, on an ummah level. What do you think of YouTube da'is using philosophical argument most of the time? Answer misconception about Islam. How can we elevate human intellect over the words of Allah? No, we should never use the intellect over the words of Allah. In the end, when you use philosophical arguments and debates, you're using a field that's been created by people, which means someone will outsmart you. Someone's going to be better at philosophy than you. You're playing in someone else's field. Quote the Quran Sunnah, give the evidence. What people do with it, bro, it's not your job to convince people. Yeah, you can debate sometimes and give some examples and this and that, but be careful because they might catch you. And people who are spectating might think that you're representing Islam while you're not. You're just representing your philosophical understanding of something. Stick to Quran Sunnah. It's not up to you to convert people. If people take it, take it. If not, it's up to them. It's between them and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the Day of Judgment. Now, next question. Barakallahu feek. Giuseppe is saying, what do you think, please, about men marrying single mothers or widows? I ask, please, because the red pill in our manosphere says it's a bad idea. Is the red pill in manosphere being harsh on single mothers? Okay, it's a very, very good question. Extremely, extremely good question. Just 1 second. Okay. So, see, it's not black and white. It's difficult to understand or to respond to this question. I'll tell you why. It's not about a woman being single or widow, because the Prophet ﷺ married widow married single mother. It's about what kind of trauma has that woman been through. A widow might have not been through the same trauma that a single mother would have been through. Like a single mother might have been through divorce, and scars are different on women and men. So a man who's been through divorce, he can come out much stronger. Because usually men can handle things differently. A woman, like a scar looks good on a man, looks bad on a woman. So I don't agree with red pill. I think red pill has good assessment of problems that we see with women today, but their solutions are very wrong. Okay, so yes, you have to, case by case, you have to vet that woman, understand the trauma level of problems that she has. As a widow, she might not have anything other. She lost her husband. The problem might be with the widow is that she was probably very madly in love with that guy. So a man has to be careful and understand that it might be difficult for her to get over that love. So it depends who he is and how he can deal with it. With a single mother, maybe depending on the trauma, maybe why she's single, what happened. So a person needs to investigate. Cannot just be like, okay, single mother, widow, khalas, finished, nothing. And I can also add that polygyny is a great solution for this problem because, a man, when he's invested fully 100% emotion, one woman only, he can slip and make mistakes. If his investment emotion is split between 2 or 3 women, he has a better grasp in dealing with things. Basically, if his love is spread around 2 or 3 women, he can be more manly and more mature and stronger, as opposed to if all his love is put into one woman. It makes him vulnerable and weak. So I would say that in case of single mothers, widows, a man can lower his expectations and deal with her better in polygyny. Does not mean always has to be like that, but I'm just saying as a solution, it's important. That's why polygyny sometimes addresses that issue of single mothers, widows, and so on and so forth, right? And that argument gets used a lot. It's not always that. It's not like that's the only way a man can get into polygyny, but it is one of the reasons. But again, I think red pill is wrong. I think the solutions that Islam offers is better, but I do believe that they have a point there where a woman who's been traumatized, severely traumatized, that's why you have to vet her. You have to understand who is the single mother, what has she gone through, or this widow. But I do believe that red pill has it right there when it comes to a woman who's traumatized, the way, if she suffered in the past, a man messed her up, left her, did whatever, you are going to feel that pain and suffering. She's going to dump that onto you in many cases if she hasn't been able to heal from that trauma. You'll basically be trying to save her, and you will feel some of her heat and some of her trauma and past problems, and she'll project that onto you as a man. She'll blame you. She'll say that you're horrible, and maybe she still has resentment towards her first husband. These are things that are possible and have been studied and quite real. Okay, but again, it has to be going back to vetting, making sure, because some women might not have any trauma. Guy just was a bad guy, he cheated or something, and she just moved on, no issue, right? Or in the case of a widow, the guy died and that's it, right? What can she do? So again, be careful of the trauma, be careful of the problems, be careful of the drama that might come onto you. That's it. Vetting. And not just because, okay, it's just a single woman or widow, that's it. Let's just, because that's just one of the things that I've been thinking about. Like, what do we do with these situations? What do we do with these single mothers and these widows? There has to be a solution, right? So Islam does offer a solution. Now, I hope that answers the question. All right, Barakallahu Fiki for the super chat, guys. Please do consider supporting with a super chat. What would be your advice to one with long-term erectile dysfunction but still wants to marry? Would you still recommend to marry? How would you go about finding a girl? I think that erectile dysfunction can be easily treated today. Increase in testosterone, Tongat Ali, black ginger. It's very important for a man to have good testosterone and good libido. There's ways, a lot of ways to get rid of erectile dysfunction. Most likely it's associated with excessive pornography use. Okay, so erectile dysfunction a lot of times is psychological, so you got to treat that, you got to do some counseling. So maybe you can contact me, inshallah. We can do some counseling. Just DM me on Instagram, and we can set up. I'm sure in the links of my videos you see my appointments, and we can talk about it. And yes, he should marry and he should work towards it first, and you'll find that with time, increase in testosterone, workouts, healthier lifestyle, that you will be able to function properly. Yeah, no doubt. So there's ways and techniques. Kegel exercises are very important. Just regular workouts. Combat sports can really boost your testosterone. Eat red meat. Stop using soaps and shampoos. Okay, use it only natural soaps and shampoos. Once a week, maybe maximum. I don't use any soap, no shampoo. People are like, oh, you smell this. No, you keep it clean, nice and shaved, and trimmed, and everything. It won't build any bacteria. You wash properly, clean with water, and don't use all these chemicals. Use a deodorant, like I use like a sea salt and etc. deodorant, aluminum free, all kinds of. So no aluminum, no parabens, no talc, no chemicals, basically. Natural deodorants, right? You got to do a bit of a lifestyle change, and this can make a big difference. So yeah, you have to get married, inshallah. So let me know. But most important thing is probably the way a person consumes haram things, porn and all that. That's probably the biggest challenge. So please message me and let's talk properly for an appointment to give you some good strategies, inshallah. Thoughts on Andrew and Tristan Tate interview? I haven't watched the whole thing. Just watched a few pieces. I don't know. I'm just still seeing some clips, and I think Andrew needs to really make some drastic changes in his lifestyle, because he's become Muslim now. I mean, a lot of people are looking at him now as a representative of Islam. You might think he's not. Okay, he's not. Definitely, he's not like representing Islam, but he does say he's Muslim. He does say haram, this, that. People are seeing him as a representative, so he's got a lot of responsibility. But some of the media videos and how he's talking still not appropriate as a Muslim. So I advise him, if he watches this, and I know some of the brothers have reached out to him, he's got a big responsibility now, and he needs to make some lifestyle changes. He cannot appear on videos doing certain things that are clearly haram, because the young boys and men, Muslim, are looking up to him and thinking that it's okay for them to do these things, right? So that's what I think. Have you heard of Mufti Menk saying he supports and promotes gender equality? I've not heard it. I don't know. If you can send me a link, I would like to see it. No. I'm not going to say more than that. Let's just, if you send me something, let me see it, inshallah. Please. What's your opinion on marrying back home and leaving a girl there if she's willing and happy? It's fine. As long as not too long, maximum you can kind of leave a woman alone. Not alone, but with family. But not be intimate with her and not visiting her is like 3 to 4 months, right? But depends where it is. If she's okay and happy there with family, and you visit her and she has good grasp on herself and can control herself, her urges, it's fine. It's good, because you might bring her to the West and destroy and corrupt her. Keep in mind, guys, women get corrupted very, very easily. I'm going to keep saying it. They know it. They say it. Okay? So, if you think that it's good to keep her back home, and she's okay with it, and you can visit on a regular basis. Let's say you go every month for like 2 weeks, or every 2 months for like 3 weeks. It's you can do it, man. You can do it, inshallah. Bringing her to like America or something and making her, mind all messed up. Yeah, can really can really destroy a relationship. Now, so yeah, I agree with it. If it's okay, if you guys are cool with it, and it's a place that you're visiting on a regular basis, then maybe that's better for you than to bring it to like America or Canada or the UK, without a doubt. In Muslim societies where haram dating is the norm, what should I do to find a wife? I cannot compromise Islam, and I'm mocked when I talk about marriage without dating. Look for somewhere else, man. Yeah, the people mock you. They think you're extreme, like this and that. But Allah has someone for you, so keep looking. Allah has someone for you who has the same mindset as you. So just keep looking, inshallah. You will find someone, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. Or look overseas, look somewhere else, away from that society. That's the norm in your society. It means pretty much most people are messed up. So then look outside of that. Look for where you can find a better situation for yourself, inshallah. Now, okay. Assalamu alaikum. What do you think if a girl says that she has some anger problems, but she's doing therapy and try to solve her problems? Should one continue or leave her? Okay, when a woman gets angry, it goes beyond like, her maybe like trying to hit you or something like that, or screaming. Can be her like doing some very things that can really compromise your life. So depends, right? It's hard. Like with a man, if he has anger issues, it'll be like probably like you have to be afraid of violence, right? With the woman is psychological, emotional, physical, can go on different levels. For example, if a woman hates you and is angry at you, I have clients who call the police on their husband for no reason and destroy their lives. They make them lose their job, their children go to jail. We had sisters who have accused brothers for no reason whatsoever that they are part of terrorist organizations. And guess what? You think the authorities are going to question that? They will go straight for the hit. So, and you ask him, what, sister, what'd you do? Why'd you do? I was angry. I couldn't control myself. I was so upset. I regret it now. Yeah, be careful. It seems that so many Muslims are turning on to undertake. Could you comment? Again, I've said this before, right? That we need to look to see how he's going to do. To be honest, so far he's obviously still at the beginning, but he needs to make some changes because yes, he's getting out there more and more now. And some of the behavior is still not Islamic. Now, a lot of us have taken time to get into Islam, and it took us time. So some changes can happen slowly, step by step. But I think because the position that he's in, he holds more accountability and more people are looking at him, and he has a lot of influence on the Muslim youth now. But again, if we're to look at the phenomenon as to why we are here, why is it such a big deal? It's because we as the Muslim Ummah, we don't have relatable scholars and sheikhs and da'is, even though there are scholars, sheikhs and da'is, but some of them have not been able to connect to the youth. That does not mean that they're not good people or anything like that. It's not like criticism that way. But it's something that we need to keep in mind that, we are, we're failing at connecting to the youth and inspiring them and showing them success from the dunya as well. Because in the end, human beings, as we saw, some of the Quraysh and some of the people the Prophet used to deal with, they were attracted to the success of the Prophet. Khalid bin Walid himself, who was the sword of Allah, the best fighter that we've ever had. One of the things that made him think about Islam was the fact that Muhammad was winning the battles. And it was against odds, right? So keep in mind that those things are true. So we have to have more relatable content and people who can inspire and show success in both deen and dunya. Because Muslim young men, they're looking for that. Is it normal for a man to feel ghira when a disbeliever touches a non-mahram Muslim? Of course, 100%. 100%. You should feel for her like you feel for your sister. Because you're your sister in Islam. Remember the Khalifa who basically sent an army for one woman. It was not his wife or his sister. It was just a Muslim woman. They're your sisters. We should feel ghira for our Muslim sisters even if they're non-mahrams. 100%. Barakallah feekum. I think we've already had this question. Yes. Advice from Quran and Sunnah, how to balance respecting over protective but loving mother and still making steps to become own man in real world. Yeah, it's in certain cultures, it's a very sensitive issue because you still have to respect your mother. And a lot of guys, because of love and respect, they kind of just give in to their mother's babying. And the mother will just baby them, and they'll have a hard time moving in life and getting married and doing or making decisions themselves. So you have to balance it. You have to love your mom and give her those emotions, but you have to stand your ground. So sometimes she might be wrong, and you have to tell her that you're wrong. I love you, mom. I respect you, but this is wrong. Like, I can't be a baby. You can't baby me, right? Sometimes, especially like Desi mothers, they baby their boys. They don't act to their daughters as nice. Sadly, I don't know why, but they'll baby the boys a lot, and they'll actually prefer the boys, even though they're women, over their girls, and sometimes even do wrong to the girls over the boys. That's wrong. That's not good. So a man has to stand his ground and tell his mother, look, this is not right. Like, we got to be careful. This is, I love you, I respect you. So he has to be a bit vocal. I know it's not easy, but he should make sure that this is something that he vocalizes. Okay, I'm a man. Take initiative. Do stuff for her. Protect her. Show her that you're a man. Don't allow her to treat you like a baby only. Right? So develop yourself as a man every single day, but still respect her, love her, and be kind to her the way you speak to her. It's very difficult sometimes, but that's why the reward is so big. But vocalize, talk. Tell her what things you don't like. Tell her that you love her. Always tell her that you love her and how much you love her, respect her, and then add, but, this I don't like, or this I didn't like, or this is not good, or I want to change this. Okay? Adina saying, is a lack of financial provision a valid reason for a divorce? As a woman, even if it was not a problem for her before deciding to marry the guy. I mean, if she agreed and she knew his financial situation, and maybe she has some financial independence herself, it's not a good thing for divorce. For example, the Prophet ﷺ, Khadija radiallahu anha spent her money on him. Is he lesser of a man? Now, I'm not saying the women should be spending their money on him, but the Prophet ﷺ was a man of mission. He was not some guy who was just sitting around. Some guys are, lazy, and they expect their wives to support them. So it depends, right? But it shouldn't be a reason for divorce. It shouldn't, right? The people can work it out even if the woman is contributing a little bit. Just because the guy's in some hard financial situation doesn't mean that now she has to divorce him, especially if she knew that from the beginning. I don't think so. I think couple, how do you just stay together and all of a sudden he has a financial situation oh, I want divorce because you can't take care of me. No, she should stay around and stick together. Khadija radiallahu anha spent all her money on the Prophet ﷺ when they're boycotted into the desert. Not on him only, but on him and his tribe. She never nagged and said, well, you're not able to provide for me anymore, I'm just going to leave. And that's what marriage is about. It's about sticking together through these difficulties. Okay, I don't understand this one. We asked the girl in the wedding if she should leave when ordering her or not visit events when we don't want, and her answer is depends. Yeah, because she should obey her husband no matter what. It is a red flag if she's like depends, because depends mean like I'll decide. And no, it's not like that. The man decides. So that is a big red flag, I would say. Yeah. Is it possible to spend a day with you? You're welcome, man. Bismillah. I'm not sure where you are, but we could. Why not? I do move around a lot. How to deal with waswasa, fear of the future that is coming from shaitan. What are your thoughts on thinking in terms of energy about the future goals? Look, in the end, it's about fear. You can't escape waswasa. Overthinking and fear is going to be there. You kind of just have to do it. Fear is going to be there. You just have to be brave. You meet fear always with bravery. Whenever you're afraid, you still do stuff. Push forward. No matter what happens, push forward. That's how you deal with waswasa and with fear of the future. You still do it. Just do it. Just move forward. It's okay. You'll feel the fear, but don't be afraid. Don't stop. Just still do it. So, like, if a man has a unibrow, is he allowed to remove the hair in between the eyebrows? Please answer. Yes, some of the scholars have permitted to remove this part because it's not part of the brow, right? So this should not be shaped, but this part can be removed, as some scholars say. I think Islam Q&A has the same fatwa. How long should you wait to get to know someone before you do the nikah? Depends on how you talk to them, how you vet them, how comfortable you are, how your istikhara is working, you're feeling it, you see the signs or not. Depends. Usually, some people say 2 days, one meeting. No, it can be a little bit longer. But make sure that you communicate with the proper channels, family, all that, as opposed to you and just, talking to her. What do I do if I'm interested in a brother who lives abroad and whom I don't communicate with? Young Islamic figure. Well, send someone, a brother that you know, maybe a sister that you know has a husband or a brother. Through them, they can reach out to him and make your intentions clear, as long as your parents allow you to and they're okay with it. How many countries have you visited? Alhamdulillah, about 40. Any message for Indian Muslims? How can we do hijrah and do our self-defense properly? Yeah, it's a very sad and very difficult time for the Muslims in Kashmir and all over the world, you guys have to stay united. You have to stay united and not give up. It's a tough time. More scholars have to talk about this, and international community, the Ummah. I don't know, it feels like people have forgotten that people are suffering in Kashmir and Palestine, all over the world. The Muslims are just like oblivious. The Uyghurs, the Rohingya, the war in Syria is not over. People need to work, but the problem is, it has to be done correctly. Cannot be like, some people make mistakes as well. You got to be careful. Like, these people are totally, what's happening in India, what's happening is totally messed up. May Allah give victory to the brothers and sisters. May Allah give victory to those who are oppressed, who've been taken their rights, their lands, their deen. But, some people out of desperation, they start doing the wrong thing, and it causes more problems and more problems. Muslims need to wake up. Muslims need to wake up, okay, to internationally, worldwide. Like, we're so divided. We've forgotten our brothers and sisters all over the world. It's a hard thing to answer in just like that in a few statements. This is something that requires deep consideration by Muslim leaders, by Muslim people, scholars. Sadly, what's sad is that people don't even, almost like it's not really being addressed. It's not really being addressed. All right. Have a few minutes till probably the brothers are going to show up, inshallah. May Allah bless. Any other questions? Please post them now. Don't forget the super chat, inshallah. Don't forget to support the dawah. Keep in mind the Muslim Alpha Men course, guys. muslimalpha.com. muslimalpha.com. We have some new courses that are being added, and alhamdulillah, I succeeded in filming the Muslim Alpha Junior. A lot of parents have been asking me to do something for young men, and we've done it. Inshallah, it will be released soon on muslimalpha.com. Please check out the site and purchase the course, support the dawah. Now, Gabriel, what should I do if I feel ugly, unlovable, and no woman will find me attractive, even if I'm just a normal guy? Don't listen to yourself. It's always going to be a woman who's going to think you're good looking. Women react to attraction differently. They don't necessarily look fully at aesthetics the way we look at them. Maybe you're thinking that they think like you. No, they don't think like you. It's a bit different. They like a handsome guy, and it's not. A lot of times women are attracted to different things. So just be yourself, man. Work on yourself. Work on your iman. Work on yourself, your cleanliness, your body, your clothes, and so on. And don't think about it. Don't overthink it. You'll find someone who will love you, who will respect you, inshallah, and who will like you for who you are. But always, always, as a man, continuously keep developing yourself. Your value is in that self-development, continuous development, and a continuous improvement. Is it halal for an older woman who is not sexually active and has never had children and is not married to have an intravaginal ultrasound? Doctor said no medical issue, just to check if okay. If the doctor is a female, it's no problem, inshallah. No problem. It's better if it's a female. Ask for a female, 100%. If there's no emergency or anything like that, it's not permissible for a man to touch her and to look at her. If it's an emergency and there's no female available, it's a different story. The hukum changes. But if you're just going for a checkup, it has to be a woman. Okay, a lot of questions here. How to deal with negative people? Be positive. Be positive. Kill them with kindness. Be positive. People are negative, or cut them off from your life. If you cannot do it. If it's not family, you don't need them. If it's not family, you don't need them. Now, women are attracted to character, personality, cleanness, 100%. 100%, but also attracted to good looks. But it's not the only thing or one, So, indeed. All right. Okay. Type any other questions before we start? The brothers are going to join us soon. Gonna be going for about almost an hour, inshallah. Question comes in from Instagram. I was born as a Muslim, but past 4 to 5 years I've been finding it hard to believe. I don't feel Iman in my heart. I feel I am living a lie. Even when I'm trying to be a good Muslim, I am wasting my life. I end up going to hell anyway. This was waswasa. I was dealing with someone just today about that as well, right? The loss of feeling that, look, you don't do Islam to feel good. It can happen that you're going to feel nice when you have strong Iman. But in general, I would say just look at your sins, look at your mistakes. They might be doing something. Waswasa doesn't start from nowhere. Look at your life, look at your sin, look at your mistakes, how you're living. Then you can say, okay, why am I feeling like this, right? And no matter what happens, even if you have to crawl, don't ever give up on your deen, on your salah. Sometimes shaitan's going to attack you. He's going to make you lose hope. He's going to hit you hard. Don't give up. If you give up, it's the end of your iman. It's the worst mistake you can ever make in your life, is to give up on your iman. Don't ever do that, no matter what happens, how you feel. Islam is not just about feeling, okay? It's not just about feeling. Islam is about doing stuff, okay? It's about doing stuff. Alhamdulillah. All right, let's get the brothers to join, inshallah. I'm going to put the link for the brothers to call. Okay, and this is... All right. Bismillah. Okay, so this is the link for the brothers to call, inshallah. Where is it? Bismillah. All right, this is the link for the brothers to call, inshallah. No one else, please call. Today is not a live calling. Top 5 qualities a Muslim should have: Iman, courage, passion, financial stability, or at least to have the ability to think and do these things, right? And I made a video about the 5 top qualities of a high value man. Okay, so Iman was definitely number 1. Oh, knowledge. Knowledge was the other one. Like a person has to have knowledge. So Iman, knowledge, courage, the ability to be a provider and to do stuff, right? And passion. I think those are the 5 that I mentioned before that are high quality that a man should have when we look at the life of the Prophet ﷺ, right? Courage in the sense that you shouldn't be a coward. There's going to be fear, but you shouldn't be a coward. You should always develop, you should know how to fight. You should be strong. You should always be in a warrior mindset. Now, all right, so I'm joined by our brothers, I think, Brother Hudayfa. Let's see here. Assalamu alaikum, akhi.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Do we have Adam joining as well, or is he still on his way?
Ahmed or Adam?
Adam.
Adam is there. Who's Durez Ahmed? Is that with you guys or no?
No, I don't know who that is.
Okay, Adam is here. So everyone else, please do not join. It's just us, inshallah. 3 of us, right? 2 of us.
Yes, inshallah.
With you 3. Okay, brother Adam, salam alaikum. Salam alaikum. How are you, akhi?
Alhamdulillah, I'm doing well. How are you, brother?
Alhamdulillah. I think your voice is a bit far. Brother Hudayfa, his voice is good, clear. I think your mic might not be connected maybe yet.
How about now? Is that better?
No, I think your mic's not working. Maybe you're connected to headphones. I'm not sure. Brother Hudayfa, can you speak?
Yes, alhamdulillah.
Yeah, yours is very clear and very...
How are you doing, Brother Gabriel?
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Everything is good, mashallah. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen. No complaints at all. Everything's going great.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. طيب inshallah. We're good?
All right. How about
Let's
now? Is the mic
see.
better?
You still sound a little far away.
Yeah.
SubhanAllah.
Maybe rejoin.
Yeah. I'll rejoin in a bit.
تمام. Alright, brother Hudayfa. Let's start inshallah.
Inshallah. All right. Okay. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, brothers and sisters. Jazakallah khair, Brother Gabriel, for letting us join your live stream and letting us kind of get this chance to talk with you, chat with you, and get an opportunity to kind of ask you questions and kind of give a bit of an interview. So inshallah, do you want us to kind of lead it, or how do you want to do
Yeah,
this?
I mean, inshallah, as I said, because it was very hard for me to find a better timing, that's why I wanted you guys to be on my thing. But yeah, you guys can go ahead, Bismillah, lead it, ask the questions, and we'll go for about an hour, a bit less than that, but yeah, we'll try to finish by the hour, inshallah.
Okay, inshallah, sounds good.
Inshallah.
So, one of the things that we wanted to discuss and cover was the first and foremost, especially we live in the West. So, for those who watch our channel, we come from the One Rope channel. So, check us out if you'd like. But we are living in the West at the moment. And we know the Dawah scene here in the West is it's kind of shaky. It's not necessarily all that great. There's a lot of flaws. There's a lot of a failure to address certain subjects, namely taboo subjects. So how do you recommend going about kind of like, addressing taboo subjects, not just as general people within the community, but also encouraging our imams, our shuyukh, and people who are higher up, the du'at, to actually talk about the contemporary issues that actually matter?
Okay, طيب, Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I think we've seen in the past, let's say, decade that taboo issues have been avoided. Could be because of what's been happening. There's been a lot of push from certain groups, and they've politicized it and even militarized it recently. There's a very militant mindset in some of these political groups that are opposing Islamic morality. And because things have gone to a political level, people are afraid of consequences. And I think what they forget is that some of these countries that we are living in have been built on differences in political activism. You know, people like, for example, the black movement, right? Martin Luther and so on, right? Like what they've had to go through to get their rights, but they've never been afraid, right? They've always pushed forward. So Muslims are kind of at a position right now where, honestly, even with some recent changes that have taken place in last year, it seems still like we're only willing to speak about stuff when already the non-Muslims have started showing opposition to certain trends. This is probably, like, I'm happy that certain statements have been made recently. To be honest, I'm not gonna lie, but at the same time, it's kind of disappointing that why were they not made earlier or more clear? And
Right.
the first, I mean, in about the one ithma, we don't want to, but there's more than just suspecting, because there's been things that have been pushed and made clear at some point when the wind was blowing one way. Now that the direction of the wind has been the other way, it seems like now we're also starting to say, hey, yeah, let's make our position a bit more clear, right? So I
Right.
think this is an issue. So yeah, all these taboo topics, everything, when it comes to LGBTQ, when it comes to masculinity, when it comes to how to raise children, to marriages, to dating, to female roles, and everything that is part of the deen and is clear in the deen, and we should educate our brothers and sisters about. the khutbahs, and it should be made around these topics that should have relevance, sorry, to the time that we're in. The Prophet ﷺ is to make the khutbahs and
Allah.
address things that were very relevant to his time. And so did the khulafa and the imams after that. It's only us that we're talking about stories and things that have happened in the past in the khutbah. Like people are falling asleep, reading newspapers, checking their mobile phones. It's really sad. And when someone gets a bit more fiery, it seems like when people do address these topics, we do it very emotionally charged. And that causes problems as well, right? Because we're so frustrated, right? Some of the imams just like, you know what, I'm just going to say something in this khutbah. And boom, he goes on, right? Out of frustration. And then there's consequences to that, right? Isn't it? Because it's like, and he looks like he's the only one and he's angry and everyone's like, why is this guy so angry? Why is he so extreme, right? Because it's not normalized. It's not normalized that we're addressing this issue. Had more people talked about it, he would have probably been a bit more calm, a bit more relaxed. People would have not picked up their phone, reported right after the khutbah, and then you got people knocking at his door, within a day, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, we need to find that balance, and the balance is achieved where the whole community is united and saying, look, our deen is clear on these matters. Why are we deferring on them? Our schools, Islamic schools, our khutbahs, our da'is, our lectures, everyone should be united in the same topics, saying the same thing. Because this is not about like where you put your hands in prayer. You're talking here about like proper, like clear ethics and morality. I mean, the Christians and the Jews, many of them, for the sake of God, they're holding the same views because they're Ahl Kitab, right? And like they're starting to be more vocal about it. And all of a sudden now some of the Muslims are saying, man, maybe we should say something too, It's like, no, we need to be very, very united as an ummah in these things. Should be no difference of opinion. Now,
Do you think, I hope you guys can hear me better now. Can you hear me better?
yeah.
Alhamdulillah, good.
Yep.
Do you think, Brother Gabriel, and maybe Josefa mentioned it when I was trying to reconnect, do you think this also has to do with accountability in the community? For example, a lot of the shuyukh, they're not accessible to the everyday person, and no one really admits when they make a mistake. And I'm thinking about the time when Umar ibn Khattab, radiallahu anhu, when he became Khalifa, he was giving his speech and whatever, and he was saying, if I don't hold to the Quran and Sunnah, hold me accountable. And someone stood up in the crowd and they said, we'll hold you accountable with our swords. And he said, Alhamdulillah, we have somebody like you in this ummah to hold me accountable. He didn't lock him up, throw him away, whatever, report him. So how do you think we've lost that willingness to be held accountable, and the love of being held accountable within our community, not only with the shuyukh, but with everyday people? Like you said, everyone's been quiet up until now. So how have we lost that, you think?
Right. Well, I think with the rise of popularity and superstar sheikhs, they come with a lot of supporters that will always fight for you, whether you're right or wrong, whether you're up or down. People are mostly attached to the personality now. So it's hard to hold people accountable because right away you're going to have at least 50% of the people or more right away responding to anyone who's going to criticize you and labeling you. So they're going to kind of like do the work for you. You're not even going to, might not even see it. So it's tough, right? Because people should say, well, wait a second. Is it about the sheikh or is it about what Allah says? And again, these are not things that are so like complex, not trying to extract a fatwa or like do qiyas or, like have some really that requires an expertise. You're talking about very moral, clear issues that are within the Quran that are affecting our communities, our children, our families, right? Like it's affecting the core of our ummah. You're not talking about here about like brain surgery. You're talking here about like, very basic moral issues. So it's not something that the ummah should have a split on. No, I'm going to go with the sheikh because, why do you like the sheikh? Is it because he's a good charismatic speaker, he's good looking and all of that, and he kind of like says things that you like, and now you're going to defend him no matter what? So I think if we were to judge and hold people accountable based on actual evidence as opposed to our feelings, I think we would do better. For a lot of the brothers, anyone who's in dawah, bro, including myself, we know it's a big fitna. When people start praising you, people start saying, MashaAllah, it can get to your head. Let's be honest, man. It really
Yep.
can get to your head,
Absolutely.
mess with your mind so bad. And you don't even know. Next thing you know, you're on the slippery slope. You're gone. You're so arrogant. You think you're doing well, and because a lot of people are gonna clap for it and be like, "Yeah, man, keep going. You
100%.
really changed my life. Wow, wow, wow." But Islam is not demand supply. Islam is like
Mm.
call Allah, call Rasul. You can't do demand supply. Like after 9/11, a lot of the regular people were demanding for like a reformation almost, of Islam. Like we should be careful, we gotta be. That's like around the time when I became Muslim. I was, like 19, and it was, I would see a lot of people saying, look, we should reconsider this. And the sheikhs were really holding the fort. They were pushing hard. They're saying no, no, no. And I would say about 13 years ago or 15 years ago, things start changing with some very famous, popular sheikhs making some very strong changes in their even aqidah and in their manhaj. And I remember looking at the comments. I remember meeting with some brothers,
Hmm.
and and some people say we're confused. They're like, we don't know
Mm.
what's going on, what to do. I remember coming back to Canada and meeting with some people, and they're saying, look, what should we do? This happened and that happened.
Right.
And interesting, I was reading some comments on some, and a lot of the awam, the regular people, were saying, oh, alhamdulillah, that these sheikhs are starting to see now the light. And I was like, what?
Allahu Akbar.
So the regular people are telling the sheikhs that alhamdulillah now they're starting to see what we already saw before. Like so now the rise of the regular people. The regular people are now being given like, so the regular people were demanding something, and now the sheikhs are aligning with that. So people are being happy now as opposed to being the other way, right? And that really caught my attention because I was like, that's demand supply. There's been a lot of demand. Let's reform, let's reform, let's reform. Let's unite. This whole word of unity has always been used as we should unite. We need to unite. And I was like, yeah, I agree, but unite upon what? That's the difference. What do you unite upon? Do you unite
Right.
upon, let's just, because we're all Muslim and we're all playing in the same direction. Like you keep having this argument. We're all praying in the same Qibla. We should all be united. And I'm like, yeah, okay. There's many people throughout the history of Islam that have prayed in the same
Definitely.
direction, right? But what do you unite upon? That's the question. And it shouldn't be upon just what people want and think or demand and so on. So that's what I saw. And I remember I used to like trace it and look at the comments, look at what people, the changes. I've spoke to so many people from, especially when like these organizations came forth with their classes, weekend classes, seminars. It became like different labels, organizations. People were getting more knowledge, which was really good. But at the same time, there was also like the rise of popularity of certain people, and then everyone's kind of focused on. And if you look at the actual changes, you can link it back to like 5 to 10 people.
Mm-hmm.
5 to 10.
Right.
I don't want to name them, but it's linked to their dawah basically that have really
100%.
influenced the way the Western Muslims have kind of gone, where we are today. So I don't know. And I
And
know
I
these
actually,
people,
sorry, go ahead.
like I've known these people personally. I spoke to some of them. Even we studied with some of them, and
Right.
back in the days, they themselves used to say, "Don't compromise." I remember very well. Some of
Hmm.
our teachers said, "Don't ever compromise, no matter what you do. Don't compromise." Wallahi, by Allah, I remember one of them saying always, "Don't never compromise. Don't ever compromise on your aqidah. Don't ever compromise on the
Subhanallah.
basic things. Always, every class, he would start in the same way. He would have the same opening speech. And it was very inspiring. And it's so sad now to see how things have gone. Like sometimes you feel like crying, man.
Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar.
Well, it's like you
Actually,
said, they've it feels like we've already accepted defeat when we don't even really have to with a lot of these topics and
absolutely.
issues. You know, like it's not necessary, and it could be. And let me know your thoughts too, Brother Gabriel. It could be like a lot of immigrants coming from their country, leaving war and turmoil, coming to the Western world. They really want to fit in and they don't want to go against the grain, you know, like the Sahaba did with certain topics and aspects. Do you think that's a part of it too? Like they've just been like back home, I don't question my chef, and I'm bringing that to America. Like, do you think that was part of it as well?
Um, I did see a big change in our the dynamics of our communities in the West with people coming over. Um, there's been a lot of positives and negatives, like a lot of people escaping war. Obviously, they've
Right.
come to the West. Some of them have come with goodness. Some of them have come and got confused here. A lot of parents complain about their young children going astray and almost like escaping, from back home and now tasting this freedom. They got lost
Mm,
so easily. Um, Back home, a lot of people complain about certain things when the way Muslim countries do things. But there's one positive thing when things are centralized, and that is that not everyone can just talk and do whatever they want, right? So
right.
there's some good.
Yeah.
Okay, the
Yeah.
good is that in the end, not every Tom, Dick, and Harry can just say whatever the heck they want and question anyone, right? There's still some centralization and some form of unity, and you can't just talk whenever you want to, unless you're
Yeah.
qualified and you have a tasriya, like you're basically licensed. You cannot. Now, people might say, "Oh, this is like, not good," and blah blah blah. But in the end, like a person, things are gonna be somehow, you know, I guess one way. Again, I'm not saying it's fully positive, but it won't cause like now you go to West and now everyone's got a platform. Everyone can give up their opinion.
Yeah.
Everyone can open a YouTube channel, bro. Be charismatic, take a 1 year course on Islam or something like that, learn a little bit of Arabic, and
And be
boom,
given fatwa left and
all of
right.
a sudden they're
Yeah.
criticizing, he's doing jarh wa ta'dil here and there, left and right, and it's like, and they get followers. People build followers easily, right? So again, I'm not trying to say I agree with this one or that one, but those are the pros and cons of the situations that we're in.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
subhanallah. And actually, it was interesting because over the last like couple weeks, one of a close like friend of mine, they kind of mentioned about one of these major celebrity moms. I'm not gonna mention the name, but they were like, well, and this is one recent criticism kind of arose, especially with recent documentations and things like that, right? And so they were like, um, if this imam has only one like supporter or follower left on this earth, it's me. And if there's no
Huh.
one left, then I'm dead. And it's like we come from the same deen that our deen is built upon the foundation of like of like the sciences of hadith, that we verify, that we make sure that that which is said is actually authentic, that is correct, that it's you know backed by Quran, backed by Sunnah, that it genuinely was said by someone of a high stat, not just high stat, high character, a high moral ground, and they've maintained a high level of decency and good actions and things of that nature. And so it's quite surprising to see that the same deen, where this is such a huge foundation of our deen, that we now have people that just because such and such imam said this or such and such person said this about this issue or that person, we without verifying run headfirst into the wall, defending them no matter what, and even following a lot of those opinions and views.
Yeah, no doubt. We have to remember that in the end of the day, we are human beings, and this is part of our test and fitra, you know. We get attached to people, we get attached to personalities. It's something that every human being is going to go through, and that's a test. The fitna, you know, is to be attached to Allah and to establish things. Yet human beings are going to incline towards people, right? In Surah Munafiqeen, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes and tells us about that, right? تعجبك
Mm-hmm.
أجسامهم. Allah says that yani, their way they look, it like impresses you, right? So we get impressed easily by people and the way they look, as Allah says, right? That it impresses you, their shape or their looks or the way they carry themselves, right? And Allah is talking about the munafiqeen, right? And He's talking to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? So of course, we human beings are always going to be attached to people, personalities. You like this one, you don't like that one. But that's the test, right? When you can, you know, the Allah comes between a man and his heart, right? Allah comes between a man and his desires. That's the
Mm-hmm.
challenge. Not easy. It's easy
Right.
said, but hard to do.
100%, 100%. So on that same subject itself, so especially in now I live in Minnesota in the U.S. Adam is currently in Houston. Alhamdulillah, we've been covering many subjects on One Rope for roughly around about a year now, alhamdulillah. And we discuss a lot of this very similar subjects as you do, such as masculinity, femininity, sexual promiscuity, gender roles, fitness, wealth, marriage, intimacy, drugs, music, really all these major taboo subjects that our communities have failed to address. We made it a point that no matter what we do, and of course we're not scholars, we're not shuyukh or any type of imam in any way, shape, or form. We're average laymen who have a general understanding of Islam, and we try our best to speak about these issues from a societal perspective and try to tie it back to Islam and tie it back to Quran and Sunnah. And many times actually when we've done these things and we canceled, been there, done that, like had a lot of those major troubles, especially within our local communities itself. But one of the issues that I feel like a lot of people have trouble swallowing and understanding, firstly because of the massive wave of feminism in the West, but also because of red pill and all these different ends of extremes. We know Islam is the middle ground. Islam is the balanced nation. We're a middle nation. How do we, looking at masculinity, looking at femininity, and the roles that Allah and His Messenger (SAW) have put out for us, how do we make sure that, how do we push it forward in a balanced manner, especially when too many people are drinking this feminist Kool-Aid and all this whatnot, and they're neck deep in liberalism.
Um, I definitely believe that feminism is a cancer. You know, it's it's hurt women more than it hurt men.
Mm-hmm.
It hurt women more than it hurt men, no doubt about it.
Subhanallah.
You can see because women have, and again, people don't like it, but you know, the ruling in the deen is that we take things literally first, then we look at if things can be figurative, right? So when the
Subhanallah.
Prophet
Yeah.
ﷺ described the female
Sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
nature and psychology, that she's like the bent rib, and we need to understand that women are like that. Meaning, the bent means the opposite of straight. Okay? And in doing so, we understand we can extract so much from that hadith. Women are easier to corrupt. Women are easier to influence. Women are not as strong in terms of many, issues. That doesn't mean they're not good. People don't understand that. They think when we
Right.
say that they're bad, that oh my God, Allah created them like that for a certain
Allahu Akbar.
reason. So why are people will say women are emotional? Yeah, they're emotional for a reason. I see, like, for example, my daughter flipped the other day, right? And she hurt herself on her bike, right? And my immediate reaction is like, just suck it up. It's all good, you know? And my wife's like, her emotions like, no, no, no. We need to do an x-rays, blah, blah, blah. And guess what? She had a fracture, right? For me, I'm like, whatever, you know, like, come on, you know, like we're more like, I don't see any
Yeah.
problem, right? See, that emotional aspect of women, it serves a purpose when it comes to their nurture and their roles as mothers. But that will not be applicable in another sphere where they're trying to, where feminism is trying to push women to be in. Hence, they're going to cause problems for themselves. They're going to cause problems for other women. Women are easily manipulated and corrupted in this bad world, man. Like men, we have
Right.
more resilience in this bad. It's a bad place. We don't want women to be in this bad place because it affects them.
Definitely.
It will affect us, but in the end, men have a limit. Even the kafir men, bro. Honestly, you guys know that. Even the kafir man, when it comes to morality, he'll have a limit. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Right.
Even if you give a man, give him a drink, two, three, four, okay? I'm sorry, bro, but there's a trend now that someone brought to my attention. Give me a shot and I'll do this. Give me a this and I'll do that. And it's
Allah
Oh
women saying
Akbar.
it,
wow.
right? And it's
Astaghfirullah.
really, really bad. Like and they're so proud of it. And these women are sober now. Imagine if you actually give them a shot. You know what I mean? After five shots, what happens in the fifth shot, bro? You don't even want. I don't want his man.
Alhamdulillah.
You'll never find
Oh
a
yeah.
kafir
Yeah.
man saying that. You'll never find a kafir man. Give me a shot and I'll do this. Give me a shot and I'll do that. You'll be the one watching. He'll be the one clapping. He'll be the one maybe doing something in there, but
Yeah.
it's just different. And that's the difference between men and women. That's why women. I'm not saying that it's okay for men to do it. It's haram is haram, but there's certain limitations. Women are much easier to corrupt and destroy. And when a woman is corrupt, the family is corrupt. When a man is corrupt, one man is corrupt.
Allah
Okay,
Akbar.
we can deal with him. And that's why they're attacking women. That's why feminism and cancer, it destroyed women more, but it fooled them to think that they're liberated, empowered, and this and that. So with red pill, on the other side of the spectrum, there's going to be always a reaction to, so it's kind of gone the other way. I believe they're addressing their assessment of the situation is quite accurate. Let's say 80% accurate, okay, of what's kind of going on. The problem is with their solutions. Their solutions are wrong. You know what I
Right.
mean? As for what's happening with women today, a lot of it is true. It's true. And that's why it's so appealing to so many young men that they finally, someone speaking up for them and this and that. Problem is with the solutions. They cannot give
Yeah.
proper solutions because they're coming from a haram. So Islam is giving you solutions, proper solutions for everything that feminism has caused a problem with or red pill has caused. Islam will give you, the correct solution. So that's where we see the balance. Okay, it's not red pill, it's not feminism. People need to come back to very relevant, applicable issues from the deen that will
Yeah.
basically address these problems. So yes, the imams, the khatibs, the da'is, the YouTubers, everyone needs to start giving the solutions, extracting the solutions from the seerah, from the sahaba, from ulama, addressing it. The more we avoid and we put on their carpet, well, guess what? Human beings, natures, they look for solutions. So they're going to say, oh, Andrew Tate's got solution. Oh, this one has got the solution. Oh, that one's got the solution. Oh, okay. So now they feel like, okay, someone's finally addressing these issues. And because they're addressing these issues and it's quite attractive, therefore the solution is also correct. But it's not.
Right.
It's not, right? Like, for example, one of the guys from Fresh and Fit podcast was, talking recently, and someone asked him about religion, and he said it's not applicable today. And he was, I mean, the guy's supposedly supposed to be a Muslim, supposedly,
Right.
and he
Yeah,
was
I'm not
saying no,
allowed
it's not
either.
applicable, and this and that. I mean, that's like messed up. It's like no, you're gonna fall out in problems because you have this idealistic religious mentality. It's not applicable today. It doesn't work. This is very dangerous. So yeah, we go back to the deen,
I,
man.
Yeah, definitely. I would also too, brother Gabriel and Jose, but you probably would agree with me. I'm also married with a daughter too, just one, alhamdulillah, one kid, one daughter. Um, and even me being a husband and a father, like I'm noticing the responsibility that a man really plays in the household. Not saying I'm this perfect, like alpha, whatever, but the role of the father is very important. And Josefa and I, we definitely called out the fatherly figures on our channels, but I would honestly blame a lot of the fathers. I think a lot of fathers, they're not they're not active, and this isn't like to avoid holding women accountable. We'll get to that, but I think a lot of fathers, they're not active within their children's lives. For example, if your daughter is covering up until she's 14, 15, and then you notice her kind of like not covering properly, oh, whatever. If you notice that your son is maybe getting weaker or he's wasting his time on games and things like that, oh, well, at least he's in my house and he's safe. I feel like the father figure in our community has been compromised. And I wanted to hear your thoughts on that. Because part of what we see with a lot of young brothers and sisters, and I don't want to fully blame them either, part of what we see is lack of guidance, lack of that shepherd, like what Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam talked about. Everybody's a shepherd,
Sallallahu.
right? I feel like we've lost that. How do you think we can fix that? Or am I wrong? I mean, is that part of it?
Okay, it's a very good question. I think it's a bit of a complicated question. It's not that you're wrong or right. Is that
Mm,
the issue that we're faced with today, the position that we're in today, it's kind of we're in damage control. So kind of whatever we do is gonna
That's a
either
good
hit us
phrase.
from here or hit us from there. So
Yeah.
is the solution for fathers to spend more time at home, for example? A lot of wives are complaining that men are not spending time at home. And then when they spend too much time at home, for example, in COVID, the women were like, we're going crazy. We want these men out of our lives, like it's horrible. It's
mm,
destroying our lives, right? So,
mm,
because technically the way Allah created us is very different. Men are not supposed to be at home that much by design.
Sah.
Now,
right.
so that's in quantity. Quality, though, when you are at home, should be good, right? So it should be when you're at home as a father that you spend time, you're inspiring your children, you talk to them, you teach them, and you hold accountable, right? Um, I think the men though we have failed in our quality. Like when we're at home, we're not doing well. We're not
Right.
to our children. Like guys, men don't talk to their boys about ghusl and sexuality and about like some young boys don't even know they have to make ghusl. They don't talk to them about pornography and the dangers. They don't talk about what happens in school. They don't even ask them what goes on in school, right? So when you're at home, even if you're at home like an hour a day or every whatever 2 weeks or whatever you're doing, sit down with your boys as a father and with your girls.
Right.
With boys different, girls different, but sit down with your boys and ask them, bro, what's been happening at school? What's the latest fight? What's the latest news? What's the latest trend? Like be
Right.
aware of these things, right? And the boys will connect. When you just come in, you're like, oh, what's going on? Leave me alone. I need to check my game. Or I need to do this. It is a disconnect. There's a
100%.
disconnect. You need to know what your boys are into. The girls, when you're not gonna hug her and kiss her and tell her she's beautiful and this and that, even if it's once in a while, right? Man, women are created to crave that, to want that, right? You have to give her that, as a your daughters, you need to give her that validation. Why are women looking for validation on Instagram? Because they haven't received it from their male relatives. If a father
SubhanAllah.
keeps pushing that on his daughter that she's pretty and hijab and she looks beautiful and Allah loves that, you're most beautiful princess, but you need to contain that for your future husband. Like fathers will not entertain that discussion with their daughters. Why
Right.
not? Why can't you tell her that, hey, by the way, you're gonna have this amazing guy, inshallah, he's gonna be the best guy, you're gonna marry him, I'll marry you to the best guy. Oh, she's too young to know that. Not really, bro. Girls fantasize, they idealize these things. And when you don't put it in their head, they're gonna start thinking about other stuff. It will come in their head. They'll see something. You need to put it in the head that there will be this prince in shine, whatever shining armor that's gonna come, inshallah. But he's gonna be
Yeah.
the halal. He's gonna be the halal version. He's gonna be a
Right.
good guy, and you're gonna love him. You're gonna have this amazing thing, and blah blah. Let her fantasize and build that image in her head where she looks forward towards marriage and something good. Because girls do think about these things. They are brilliant. And same with boys, you gotta push it onto them, bro. You're gonna do this, you're gonna do that, you're gonna be strong, you're gonna. So I would say it's more about quality. As for quantity, I don't believe men should, be equally in the house, or women have to do the house thing, men has to be the outside. Guys have always traveled, they always fought in battles, they're always gone for thousands of years, and things were okay, they were working well, right?
Yep.
Now
Absolutely.
it's like you have two women in the house, like the guy's acting like another mother, and things don't work. It might look okay at the beginning because the woman says, I have more time and this and that. After some time, what happens is, the sisters call us up. Yeah, I need a counseling session. What happens, sister? I don't know. I don't love my husband anymore. I'm like, why not? And you know what they say? Well, he's a good man. I'm like, here we go. Okay, but he's a good man, but he's a good man, but I'm not attracted to him anymore. Why are you not
Always a
attracted?
but.
I don't know. He's got. I'm like, what does he do? Well, he's always home. He takes care of us. He does this, but I can't see him as a man. I can't explain to you. I just lost love for him. He's too nice. He's too kind. I'm like, whoa, what's going on? This is because you spend too much time with her. You got to maintain your position as a man. So, and the other problem is, um, the quality. Like, we're not men anymore. We kind of let things slip. Yes, we're the first ones to be accountable. Like, if we claim qawwama for any failure, we're the first ones that we need to say, hey, it's our mess up, it's our problem first and foremost. The only issue that I see, though, from the women's side, that is, I think, quite negative, is that they weaponize the absence of the father or some of his mistakes with the children. Instead of them, no matter what happens, don't let your children see the mistakes of the father. They will realize if he's a bad man, in the end, when they grow up, they'll be able to understand it better. Okay? But what happens is, as opposed to them not liking one guy because of maybe he was a bad man, they'll end up hating all men if all you tell them that, your dad left us, he's not a good guy, men are like this, because that's what sisters do today. They have no way to hurt the guy because they're not so strong, they're not so able. So what they do is
Right.
they use the bombs that they have, the very sharp knives, which is words. Their tongue is very strong. They'll come up with all kinds of stuff. They'll weaponize the children. Look, say that your father is this and that he's a man working for the sake of, he's out, he's doing this, he's providing for you. Maybe he's not the best man, but don't use the children and don't cry in front of them and don't victimize yourself. You're not doing anyone any good. If he's a bad man, as time goes on, get your family involved, whatever. When the kids grow up, they'll realize that you'll explain to them as to why he was not there for you and so on. But the moment you become this victim in front of your kids and you victimize and you weaponize them, you're basically messing up a whole system. You know what I mean? So I think that's important to understand, But the guys are going to end up, and the girls, it's going to have huge trauma. The girls are going to hate boys, hate men. The guys, and subhanAllah, men and women, in the absence of their father or in issues with male figure, they react differently. Very, very differently, right? So women will start hating the men, right? They'll start experiencing all kinds of issues in their adulthood, lack of bonding. Some will go to the extreme of extra looking for extra affection, which leads to promiscuity, and some of them will turn to hating men and turn to same-sex attraction. A lot of lesbianism is from that, but that they hate men and they have that, right? And with boys, it'll be just weakness, the absence and the hatred towards the father. turns always into weakness, into extreme weakness. You know what I mean? And the results will be either them again overcompensating and trying to prove themselves, getting involved in gangs and, trying to be this, tough guy, stabbing people and killing people and ending up being criminals, or, just being a very weak man and just, losing themselves. So, we need to just, that's what I'm saying. It's a very complex problem. I don't know if I've obviously not given a
Yeah.
solution answer. It's just a very
Definitely.
complex problem.
Where
Yeah,
do you
yeah.
think
And
trauma falls? Sorry, Jose, but just a quick
go
follow-up.
ahead. Yeah.
Forgive me, brother. Where do you think trauma falls into all of that, though?
Trauma is very,
Like my
again,
dad was gone. I hate all men, but she wants to get married, and let's say a brother is willing to work with that. Like, how does trauma, I guess, in that dynamic
okay.
play a
In,
part?
not in all cases, but if a woman is traumatized by a man in her past, be it her father, her brother, another experience, a boyfriend, or something like that, that's going to definitely affect the way she behaves towards the new guy. Okay?
Hmm.
It will definitely be something that will affect the marriage. The guy will feel the heat. He'll feel the trauma. He'll feel like he's a counselor, and trying to deal
Yeah.
with her trauma, her issues and problems,
Right.
emotions, accusations, a lot of issues of trust and so on. So he'll feel the heat big time.
Yeah.
Women who are scarred, traumas. I mean, it gets nasty, right? Guys can deal with trauma a little bit better. We're built to be more resilient when it comes to to these things. So men do a little bit better, even though they still have issues. But with women, it's a very very complicated thing because it will affect the guy. I mean, he's got to be ready for a lot of emotional turmoils and ups and downs. And even though he might not be at fault, but he will be blamed for a lot of things and a lot of projection and connecting to the what happened in the past, and you're the same, you're just like him, you're just like that. It'll be mentioned a lot. He did this and you're gonna do the same thing again. A lot of
Hmm.
like that, like fear of what might happen again, which leads to, actually, it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy, because the guy's
Yeah.
gonna have enough at one point. He's gonna be like, you know what, I can't deal with this anymore. It's too much. It's affecting me. It's toxic. All the time being accused. You're gonna leave. You're just like him. You're just like that. You're just like my father. You're just like my brother. You're just like my ex.
Hmm.
You're just like my this. It happens so often. The guy's like, you know what? Yeah, okay, I'm done with this. It's too much.
Right.
Yeah,
So
Definitely.
the marriage falls apart.
No, 100%. And actually, one of the things, anybody from the One Row family, if you're watching, you already know we talk about this a lot, especially family dynamics, holding on to the family nucleus. But one thing that we always say on our channel is marriage is about to complete, not compete.
Mm,
It's about taking two imperfect halves and creating a beautiful relationship. And this, especially in the West, especially with modern social media culture, especially with online validation, especially with feminism, masculinity, all these different isms and schisms and everything in between. There's so much that's being thrown at everybody, especially if they're in a relationship, that there's no way that it doesn't have some effect on a person's relationship. Like they have to truly, truly, truly be God fearing individuals. Their relationship, and Adam mentioned this in one of our previous videos, that the relationship needs to be anchored on Tawheed in
100%.
today's day and age if you want it to succeed. Otherwise, it's gonna fall apart. The reason why a man knows this is my responsibility, woman knows this is my responsibility, and how you treat the kids, and how you have a relationship with your in-laws, and how you deal with this social issue and validation and covering up and all these different things, simply through anchoring on Tawheed and completing, not competing.
100%. 100%. Mm.
But so on that same note, especially for our brothers, you mentioned how women, eventually, like, they feel as much as they'd like to say, oh yeah, I want a man who likes to stay at home. I want a man who helps me out around the house and this and that, the other, which you should, to some degree help out. But how does a man find a balance between staying outside the house and, kind of being in the house and helping out and things of that nature? Where does one draw the line?
Okay, I think it's about like purpose, right? So I believe if a man is doing his job, he's providing, but he also has a purpose outside of the house. He's not just staying outside of the house in coffee shops for the sake of, being outside, right? Like
Right.
he's a man with a purpose, right? And this is where we have to draw the line. So in our communities, some of the problems that we have with certain cultures, for example, is that where the guys spend a lot of time in coffee shops talking about politics and just sitting there, shooting the whatever, right? And indeed, the women are right to complain. And what are these guys doing? They're sorry, Yani, they're losing their time and wasting their
Right.
time. They're kind of losers, to be honest, because they're like
Mhm.
not doing anything, just kind of messing about, arguing, talking about politics back home, blah, 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 this and that. And the women are just sitting at home doing nothing, waiting for them. And, problems happen, right? So, yes, indeed, that kind of complaint is I think, valid, right? And that's not the type of staying out that we're looking for. But if a man is like on a mission, let's say he's doing dawah, he's working, he's providing, he's a good man, but that's his work, his jihad is he's outside, he's doing stuff, right?
Yeah.
That woman should look at that and take those kids that she has and line him up when he comes home, that they kiss his hand and he says, your father was outside, for the sake of Allah, I want you to be like that. Yes, he was missing for 2 weeks or whatever, you missed him, but he's a good man, and we have to support him and we have to be patient. That's the type of man that a woman has to be patient for. And she shouldn't be
Yeah.
complaining and crying in front of the kids, oh, your dad's not home, oh, he's out there for Islam. They're gonna start hating Islam, man. Kids are gonna start hating Islam because now the woman's saying that your
No,
dad is doing
definitely.
dawah. Your dad is doing dawah all the time. Man, you should be proud that your dad is doing dawah. You should be proud that your father's
Mhm.
working. You should be proud that and the woman should highlight those things. Should be telling stories like she's telling stories of, Sahaba. Like mothers are talking
Sah.
about Batman and Spider-Man and putting their kids to watch these, and they're looking at Wu. They should be looking at Wu as at their father. Their father should be portrayed like a superhero when he's out there doing those things. If he is doing those things, if he is a man with
Mhm.
a purpose, if he's a lazy loser man, then yeah, they have a point. I can't argue against that.
Yeah, no, definitely. And especially on the idea that we like to speak about all these Western superheroes, the Batmans, the Spider-Mans, and all these fictional characters and whatnot. But we aren't telling our kids about, for example, the Sahaba. Imagine telling your kids about how the Shaitan was scared of Umar bin Khattab, or for example, how Abdullah bin Zubair, that he was stronger. He's like stronger than, I think, 1,000 men. They would say, or that we would teach them about being like, we have real life superheroes to look up to. We don't need to look at these superficial, fake, fictional characters when Allah is given us great role models to look up to, and especially for a child, the greatest role model that they can look up to is their father, the man of the house, the one who is kind of the one who guides and directs the family and is the shepherd of the family. And if they can see that, yo, dad looks like a beast, you know, the respect for the kids actually goes up. And one last point that I just want to make, um, and I'm sure you're probably really aware of this, in the West especially, the suicide rates of adult males has gone through the roof.
Yeah.
And part of the reason why is because there's a complete lack of respect from children, complete lack of respect from the wife, and the man's confused. Now the woman cheated on him. The kids don't even want anything to do with him. And why? Because there's no respect in the house for the guy.
Mhm.
So it's a serious pandemic. It's something that a lot of people need to discuss more about, and these are just some things that could possibly fix some of those issues.
No, I think respect is a big thing that we need to maintain as men. Now, to have respect, obviously, you have to earn it, and you have to be respectable. But I think a lot of men also allow these things to happen. Like we don't have limits anymore, right? Like a lot of sisters will come and complain that my husband this and that. And when you dig in, you just see a man who's got, he's called toxic and narcissist just because he has some limits, right? Women are now used to walking all over men, and that's a big thing. It's a problem. I'm not saying that, men should be too harsh, but I think that if women start being women and being a bit softer as it fits their fitra, and men start being men a bit harder, which fits their fitra and having limits and expectations, I think things will fall better into place. But right now, everyone's confused. Men are trying to be women. Women are trying to be men. Everyone's confused. So, like, men have to have their limit. Respect is definitely something that I say to men: don't compromise on. Don't allow people to disrespect you. Don't Allah yani said, وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي Adam. If Allah has given you karam, and has like you're disobeying Allah by allowing someone to disrespect you. If Allah has
Right.
honored you and you're asking someone else is dishonoring you, honor is a big thing in Islam. Now you have to be an honorable man. You can't be some loose cannon who's like, I want to be honorable. No, but if you're a person of honor and someone dishonors you, you better take that
Right.
very strongly. And even if it's your wife, it doesn't matter. This might be like come like a shock. If some men put their foot down, yeah, maybe women are going to learn the hard way, but they need to learn not, because too many problems happen with dishonoring men and so on. And the same way with men, like they have to honor women, they have to protect them and so on. Like men don't care these days anymore. They're just kind of like,
Right.
we're done with this. Women are, it's too much to
They've
handle.
gone too soft.
Yeah, so no, you have to put your foot down and keep in mind that this is a responsibility. And yeah, we're talking about how we should be. I think this needs to be established because a lot of the people will get like, yeah, but this, but what about that? I'm talking about where we should be. We're not there,
Right.
myself included. None of us are there, but at least we know where we have to be. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's the difference between the Muslim manosphere and what we're trying to do here versus the Muslim feminists. Okay? They don't know where they want to go. We know where we want to go. We're not there. We're not claiming that we're like, oh yeah, we're the perfect Qawwam,
Right.
Muslim Alpha, this and that. No, but we're on a journey to get there and we know where we need to go. They have no clue they want to go. They're confused, you know?
Absolutely. Subhanallah.
Yeah,
Um,
subhanallah. May Allah guide us and rectify our affairs and allow us to take action to fix these things. Allahumma
I mean,
ameen.
I
Brother
mean,
Gabriel, Jazakallah khair. We're almost at the hour. We appreciate you allowing us to join your live stream. May Allah continue to bless you and your family and all your work.
I mean,
To the brothers and sisters
me.
that tune in, we're definitely, inshallah, going to do this again. Still a lot more to discuss. Again, appreciate your time, Brother Gabriel, and stay tuned for a part two, maybe, inshallah.
inshallah. Jazakallah khair, brothers.
Inshallah. And
Yeah,
brothers and sisters, for those who are interested in kind of seeing more content from me and Adam, alhamdulillah, we're new to YouTube, we're new to the streets. I know, brother Gabriel, you've been here for a little longer than we have. But alhamdulillah, we recently joined sometime last year. And we discuss a lot of similar subjects. We talk about, for example, porn addiction. We talk about masculinity, femininity. We talk about the importance of verifying information. And our main goal is to have honest conversations in this very deceptive world. And we try to speak straight from Quran and Sunnah as best as possible. So, brothers and sisters, if you guys are interested in checking us out, go check us out on One Rope. We're on YouTube, alhamdulillah. And yeah, brother Gabriel, whenever if you're down, we'd love to have you on our show for a part two and a follow up on these discussions and many others, inshallah.
inshallah. Barakallah fikum, guys.
Jazakallah
Jazakallah
khair.
khairan.
Yalla,
All
guys.
right. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. MashaAllah, Jazakallah khair to the brothers. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless them. Alhamdulillah. And we're pretty much done. I'm just going to answer to a couple of the super chats. I apologize. Rami saying, is someone a Muslim feminist who doesn't publicly oppose feminism but barely wants to clean, maintain intimacy, etc., but they always make an excuse and blame everything on the husband. It's not necessarily feminism. It's just a woman who's not fulfilling her role, right? It doesn't have to be a label or anything like that. But all this that you said, this is incorrect. Like there's something wrong with that woman, and you need to get to the bottom of that. If definitely if someone doesn't want to do intimacy, doesn't want to cook, doesn't want to clean, doesn't want to do anything, like what it's just a bad wife. Okay, so she's not a feminist, she's just a bad wife. Okay. And advice to men on self-accountability: be hard on yourself, guys. Be hard on yourself. In the end, it's our fault, no matter what it is. Yes, women have their faults, yes, but in the end, I slipped. It's my mistake because I am claiming to be stronger. I am claiming to be more in charge. I am claiming to be the one who Allah put on this earth to fix things. Yes, women have big issues, huge issues, but in the end, if things are messed up, it's somehow my fault because I let it to go to that level. I should have, pulled the plug earlier. I should have been stronger. I should have controlled my emotions better. I should have done better. I should have had better self-accountability, but I didn't. So be harsh on yourself. Be pretty hard on yourself, guys. Don't be easy on yourself. Yeah. MashaAllah. Barakallahu feekum, everyone. Jazakallah khair to everyone. May Allah SWT bless the brothers from One Rope. And may Allah bless all of you, inshallah. I'll see you guys next week. Jazakumullah khair. Wassalatu wassalamu Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.